This is what's been done by the machine. It just comes along and basically mows the top. I mean, look at the knobbles and the dead stuff. This is hard to believe it's that rough. You know this, all dead, heaps of it. You got the odd bit here, it's alive because you can see little buds there, instead of just a dark brown. You can tell the stuff that's grey is basically dead. There's another live piece, another live piece, another live piece. There's one's coming up from underneath, but it's an absolute dog dinner. And this, ladies and gentlemen, a few more years and this thing will be in real trouble, and they'll have to cut it off about there and then get 2 new canes here that grow out and use those new canes to replace these, which means they lose at least a year worth of grapes, but the root system's still alright. This is how it should look. I've actually done them a little bit too close here. I should probably knock out that one. Probably that one, maybe that one. It's a pretty big root system, so it'll handle it, but this is what they should look like. We're doing the ends like this because we've been told to do the ends like this. Even though after the first post, she all goes back to rough as guts again, and that's fine, but you know, I'm supposed to do the ends nicely, but that's what the boss says, so got to get to it and clean this one up. Alrighty, well I'm all alone out here in the last hour of the day. I'll give you guys a demonstration on how to prune a grapevine. Now a lot of your stuff will be all hanging down all over the damn place like this. Basically, the best way to go about it is to just chop all the shit off. Give it a bit of length, probably at least 8 inches or so, and just get stuck into it. Just to get all this overhang out of your damn way so you can see what you're doing. Got a few here. And as usual, there's always one on the other side. There's different ways of pruning, but I'll give a demo here of the spur pruning method, which is the most common way. There's cane pruning, which is a whole lot more wire and a whole lot more bullshit, and apparently it's only 3% extra fruit gain, so... But obviously, we don't have enough wires because this vineyard was never set up for cane pruning. It's ridiculously... you get drowned in wires when you set them up for cane pruning. And this cord gives me a bit of bloody cord. Alrighty. Now, ones that are hanging too low to the ground, you've actually got to rub your hands up and down these to get any buds off them. If that doesn't stuff your back, nothing will. But any ones that are hanging on the ground, they often put glyphosate in between the rows to kill the weeds and to, well, more water and nutrients for the vine. But basically, these ones might be hanging too low. So if we need to train ones up, we will often get ones higher up and train them on that make these, because this was originally, this big chunk was originally just one of these little ones. But yeah, they'll get one of these and tie it onto there with string just to keep it upright, and then another 2 of those, and then put one this way and one that way. Some of them are T shape, so to speak, and others are L, and this is just an L, where she goes up and across, and others go up and both ways. I'll piss that one off anyway. Alrighty. Take that bit, we'll go back up here. Now, this has been done a shit job of. All this here, see basically where you got a bud there, that next year will be the area for a new cane to come from, and there will be a cane and leaves on that cane coming out of these buds. You got one there, on the opposite side, one back again, and so on and so forth. Now, you can tell, for instance, this one here has been a cane, It's all split at the top there. And then there's been a bud on the side, which has had another cane come out, which is this little one here, which is got a dead bud or two on it. But this here is an absolute mess from years and years of just coming along and just basically going bang, 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 trimming everything to basically that one at the very bottom is called a basil, but it's like a miniature bud. And then you've got proper bud and a proper bud. And often they get the basil, which is your tiny little fake bud, and then another bud there, and they say that'll be enough, so they'll cut it right there. And then that's basil, 2 buds. And they'll have people just sort of come along and just go bang, 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 and leave it just like that. Ignore all this stuff, and this now here will end up looking like this, because this is extreme neglect over years. Now, with nice ones that have been actually looked after, what you should do is come across big lumps like this, if you're going to prune properly, and clean them off, like that. That had a couple of buds on it. But anyway, chop all the dead muck off. So we get something like this, and we'd basically hit it right there at the base and clean off all this knobbly stuff. Now what you want is basically to have your basil and your 2 buds, basil, bud, bud, bang, and generally they have them spaced about 6 inches between one cane and the next. Now these are actually also referred to as spurs. So the whole thing, like the big one will be a cane, but once you've cut it like that or whatever, that's a spur. And then you want 1 spur about every 6 inches across there. Cut out all the knobbly crap like this. Unfortunately, in doing that with some of these, you'll lose some brilliant canes, such as this big monster one here, which is perfectly live and ready to go, along with this smaller one here. So sometimes you just got to leave this stuff on. But in the nice world, in the non-neglected vine world, you know, you get nice ones that are like this one here. And he is coming straight from the main vine. Bang. He's coming straight up there. And that one is annoying me. There we go. So yeah, that's what you want, but big rotten things shouldn't be used, but you're sort of forced to, because basically what happens is if you were to cut off all the big rotten knobs, in some of them there'd be absolutely nothing left, because some of them don't do what this one's done, where it's got this nice one on your main vine. Now this wire, believe it or not, there's actually a wire in there. I had to cut one out here, over here. What a pain in the arse that was. It went right along the way there, but I've got a fresh one there. This wire here that all this is strung onto is referred to as the cordon wire, C-O-R-D-O-N, and that's under a decent bit of tension, and it's wrapped around a main post with this strut, and then it goes for ages using these. Some people have steel ones as well. The steel ones have got a tendency to start shaking and actually crack in the wind, and they're crap basically. There's a whole bunch of this vineyard that's going to be replaced with real thin steel ones that are probably slightly thinner than a star picket, and all imported from China by my Chinese millionaire boss, most likely going to just collapse in the wind. Entire rows might end up failing, but we're going to save $1 because remember, we're a Chinese boss. But anyway, when you have a cane that you do leave, this is what ends up happening. This is a good example here. They end up getting a bit long, and where each one, this one's just been left to do whatever it wants. It hasn't been clipped at all, and it's come out from the main base there. And as you can see, bang, one, bang, another, bang, another, bang, another, and so on. And then that will allow you to basically train this on as a new one of these if these die, and this one did die. I'll just show you. This is what come off it here. The bloody size of it. That's one part, and that's the end part. And as you can see, there's all your knobbly bits there. See that big one there? That's originally been a cane of some sort, and then, you know, the little ones come out and they're trimmed, and there's the last 5 years worth of crap and all of this. Some of them blow in the wind, and you see there that sort of split. They actually snap off in the wind, and they'll split usually in half. They won't just snap off cleanly. Usually they'll split in half. Sometimes they'll split sort of, you know, right on the end, like this bit has here. And yeah, but that's sort of just the wind. So yeah, this is. So we do them one way, we twist them around the wire one way, and then the opposing one comes the other way, and they sort of lock into each other in the middle there. But yeah, I've left them sort of probably a little bit close here. But this is the same thing again. This has been a cane the previous year, and then spat all these out, which are all got buds on, and that's basically new spur, new spur. And what they've actually done with some of these, they've all died like this one has here. And what they've basically done, like I was saying before when I snipped the ones off of this, they've actually gone and chopped them right there. I mean, literally with a saw. It might have been a chainsaw, I think. And then they've got ones that come out the side, and they've put one on here, and then one on here. And some people like a third one that they can just put a string on to tie to the cord on to stop it shaking off in the wind. But they haven't bothered with that because where they've done it is actually behind a whole stack of other vines which are protecting them. So yeah, basically your ones that come out there, they've chopped that off and trained that on, and they've done that with acres and acres of stuff that's, well, basically to the south, I think, of where I'm standing now. Yeah. This is what you get sometimes. See, you look along this, what do we got? That one's coming out on a cane, that one's coming from underneath, which may mean the weight of it will lean down and get hit by the spray. This one here is also hanging off an old cane. These two here are hanging off a... It gets to the point with some of these that there will be no new growth along the whole lot of this. And there's nothing you can do but use these, as I was saying before. But there's somewhere it gets to the point where there's no new growth, to the point there isn't one single stinking cane on the whole lot of this, because they've all grown up, and the whole lot's just dead. And then basically the plant dies from lack of photosynthesis, and they've got areas here where the entire plant has died because of this sort of neglect for 15, 20 years. It got to the point where there was no canes left, no photosynthesis, and it killed the entire plant and the root system. And that was it, game over. So yeah. These, I don't know, probably, I don't know, they're probably only 15 years old or something, I think. These ones. I've seen ones bigger than this, and the ones in France are 200 years old, and they're like a bloody tree. The French pruning method is different again, but I'm not going to go into all that in this video. Alrighty. Well, that was the big knobbly bit I was showing before. It was all gangly. You see, I basically trimmed it up at the top. You can see some brown wood there, which is basically the dead wood that was all those jagged old dead spurs that are a bit like that there. Quite get them. Yeah, there's the two I kept. Actually, sort of three. There's the one that was on the cordon I was saying about. But that's sort of how it's generally supposed to go. And you get old diddums here. You get him off the bloody thing, and you go like this. Kill the bastard. Little dags here. And that little bit there. Just clean up the bottom of that. So if I try and get into there, I won't get it. I can get in there with the hand ones, but this one, see? She's air powered. With that big thing coming out the front, you don't really have a chance to get exactly what you want. But yeah, that's generally, I might have it a little bit too spaced. I probably should get rid of that one. But considering we've got large bits here where there's nothing for a while, I sort of try and keep more in other areas to make up for the lack of ones in other parts to give us a bit of a chance. But that's how it should generally end up looking. All the knobbles and all the crap all trimmed off. You see the white bits there? They're the live. Oh, that's not live. Yeah, there we go. That's the live bit. Anytime you hit a white bit, that's the live bit. You hit a light brown bit, that's dead. And you'll even find that out. You get these white, sort of slightly green ends on your canes. That means they're live. And if you get one that looks very blackened, sort of like that black there, but the whole way up the thing's black like that, and then you snip it and it doesn't have that slight green tinge to the white, that's just a dead one. And you'll notice because it'll be like soft in your fingers that it's not sort of firm anymore. But that there, I think is basically mildew or something like that. Sooty mildew, that's it. Yeah. You've always like your basil, bud, and they just sort of go opposing sides right the way up. You notice little bits like that, that's where the grapes come off. Got some others here. There's another one there. Oh, you can see the old grape stems there. So it's machine harvested where it just shakes the bloody bejesus out of everything and then snaps the stalk off and then kills the damn entire plant if you're not careful. But especially if you sit in one place for too long. Yeah, this ain't a perfect vine, obviously, but this is the best I could do with a bad vine to work with. Gives you an idea what she's like. Run out of fluff and cord. Guys, you'll be able to see me a bit better in a minute. I think you should be able to see this part better. You're going to make decisions the whole time, then, once you come to the blah blah blah. Can't keep too much or you're overstress the plant. Sometimes overstressing the plant, too much fruit in the middle of summer can kill the damn thing as well. That be very careful when you're doing this, because you can have a nice piece like this and accidentally cut it off. There's a fork in there, but I'm just trying to get the front part of the fork. There we go. A bit unnecessary, we're keeping all the muck out, stop seed powdery mildew, not soggy mildew. I've got it wrong before. I don't really need to trim all the grapes there, but I like to. Get more airflow and the stopbox right at the powdery mildew like it's the same. That's it. These are remarkably careful, these. Stuff that you should only do with the big damn loppers, this thing will do. Pretty good brand, this one. Sometimes they get stuck like that, so I just sort of clear the muck off. That's pretty good there. There you go.